What's up, sinners? Welcome to the ZOpium Den, the house of the anti-fuddy-duddy Bible study. CJ and I welcome y'all to the study party. Groovy Wednesday. T, it's supposed to be Groovy Tuesday, T, because we usually do this on a Tuesday evening. If y'all are just happen to be swinging by and you caught wind of this, and just letting y'all know we usually do this on Tuesday. We got some rain, and rain isn't enough to make us stop broadcast. But the thing is, my studio is set up in my workshop, and we haven't gotten to that point where we can put in that really lush insulation and stuff like that. So when it rains in here, especially when there's lots of thunder, y'all wouldn't be able to hear me at all. It's really loud in here. I mean, it's cool and everything. If you just want to kind of kick back and listen to it, it's like, wow, man, it just sounds like really. Oh, it's wonderful. Yeah, it sounds like a big old rain stick. But when thunder hits, it's just sounds like my drums. Anyway, so we had to postpone it, and thank you guys for graciously bearing with us as we go ahead and make up for it today. And hopefully we'll make it worth your while. So here we are in Hump Day. The Humpty Day is that. Anyway, so here we are on Hump Day, and I hope we'll be part of launching y'all into a better part of your week. Gets groovier from here. Yes. And thank you guys for coming to hang with us and making us making the ZOpium Den one of your favorite hangouts online. So we really appreciate that. Why is it one of your favorite? I reckon it's because of the real life of the party that makes it a favorite hangout of y'all's. So that being said, let's go ahead and get that wonderful counselor. Let's get the Holy Spirit in here in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, y'all. Father in heaven, thank you so much for blessing us with this study, Lord. Help us to say what's right in your sight and wise in your eyes, Lord, and report of you correctly. Help us to apply this word right, yes. Lord. Help us to make sound observations that square up with you and offering perspectives, on how we, conduct ourselves and what we do with your word and making sure that we stay in school with it. So thank you so much, Father God. We're trusting in you for that. And help us to make this a blessing to you, Lord. And for y'all, our ZOpium denizens, our study buddies, the Lord's blessing, his love, his shalom, his fortification, and his joy to you, right? Let's be that effective salt and light and fruit for his glory. In Yeshua's name. Amen. Okay, so our chapter by chapter, verse by verse study has us picking up in 1 Timothy. And we're continuing we're picking it up at 8. I think we're going to go from 8 to, let's do to about 12? Is that number again? 12. 1, 2,
what
3,
page
4,
is
5,
that
6,
in our
7,
Bible? Because my bookmark
I was going to bust out with some electric company pointer system stuff. But 13, 16.
Okay.
You got it?
You. Come close. There we go.
I'm chomping at the bit to get back to my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12! 12! All right.
12.
Pointer sisters. Okay, so.
Hard to believe they did that. I cannot.
Hard to believe?
Yes.
That's not hard to believe. Well, I guess, considering what the 80s did to a lot of those, 70s artists, back in the 70s, I mean, they, 70s was funky. They had funky stuff back in the 70s. Then the 80s came along, and I guess, I don't know, all that cocaine caught up with the producers.
Right.
And, yeah, it's like you hear things like say, for instance, Lionel Richie, you hear the stuff that he was doing with the Commodores in the 70s. And then, and then the 80s come along, and it's like, if you didn't know, the Commodores, in the 70s or anything like that, and you started listening to Lionel Richie, you would be shocked. It's like, wow, that's the Commodore. Lionel Richie was with them? That's some funky stuff.
You did shock me with that fact.
Right? There's a few artists like that. Or even even on the rock tip. Say, for instance, Robert Plant. Robert with that poodle mullet that he had like in the 80s. It's like, you listen to Robert Plant. If you didn't know that he was in Led Zeppelin, it's like you find out that he was in Led Zeppelin. What? Is it? Wow. Okay. I would have never. I don't think I would have put that together.
Right.
So anyway, but yeah, point is this, because when you're like hearing songs like I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm so excited. It's kind of a cool song. But how do you go from, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I mean, there's some funky stuff to I'm so excited and I just can't hide it. It's like, okay, that's a whole different producer right there.
Can
but anyway,
somebody take that clip of him dancing to I'm so excited and do something with it?
doing the Carlton?
Yeah.
I don't even know that. It's like,
Please.
I don't know if my body will even let me do that.
I want to say right now, Fern Gold was wondering if you had the flu. I'm coming off of a bad cold, so if you hear me sounding like a 90-year-old smoker, I apologize. When I laugh, I sound terrible, but I'm on the end stages of it. I'm feeling better. So
Yeah, and the flu knows better than to try to get up in my business. You know what I'm saying? It's like, do you got to know the flu got me? The flu be like, I got zoned. I got zoonosis or something. But yeah, if I sound a little snotty or whichever, that's allergies. All right. No, I did have to confess that something was, I did catch a bug or something.
a couple weeks ago, yeah.
I still did kung fu on it though.
I was gonna say it didn't stop you at all. Even singing, you still did all your gigs through that bad cold.
Right? Singing like this was, trying not to broadcast and stuff like that or whichever. Yeah. You gotta do kung fu on it. You ain't gonna give me the kung flu.
The kung flu.
That's right. Anyway, so let me go ahead and get on with this reading, y'all. We're at 1 Timothy, verse 8, chapter 1, verse 8. Let's do it.
Chapter 1, verse 8.
Do it to 12 or 11, through 11. But we know that the Torah is good if one uses it legitimately, knowing that the Torah ain't given for a tzaddik, but for the lawless, right? When we say tzaddik, it's going to be Hebrew for those who follow God.
Thank you. I was going to ask.
Those who try to, who do right by God. Like I say, stay in school with the Lord, right?
Okay.
These are for tzaddik, all right? The basic way of putting it. So, but for the lawless and rebellious, for the ungodly and sinful, for the unholy and worldly, for those who kill their fathers or mothers, for murderers, the sexually immoral, homosexuals, slave traders, liars, perjurers, and for anything else that opposes sound teaching, in keeping with what was entrusted to me, the glorious good news of the blessed God. Who's that cat? He won the primary against Jasmine Crockett?
Tallarico.
Yeah, he missed this part.
Ugh.
What's up, Texas?
Yikes.
It's like, they take that, don't California my Texas. This is exactly how you California Texas.
Yeah.
And as I've warned, it's like Texas, it isn't so much about, becoming a Democrat state. Y'all need to be worried about going back to being a Democrat state.
Yep.
All right, that's your roots. All right, I'm trying to warn you, but I don't know.
It is our roots, and John Cornyn, who's a huge rhino, always votes with the Democrats, even on gun rights here in Texas, always votes with the Democrats. He's up against Paxton.
Wow.
And Trump is talking about endorsing Cornyn, so.
And people wonder why. Yeah, people wonder why people think that the parties have switched sides, or they say that there's no difference between the two parties. There's stuff like this is why. And but yeah, this right here, what's it, what was his name?
Tallarico.
Tallarico, can't tolerate him. So.
Yeah, he is a rank heretic, hardboiled entertainment. You are right.
Full on. And just talk about ignoring. How funny that this guy's like making rounds in the news, saying what he's saying, and just totally overlook this. I'm gonna throw that out.
Yeah.
right? But at any rate, so, well, and Jasmine Crockett, was she trying to cry racism?
Oh, yeah, she is.
You know, she's trying to cry racism. Oh, really? From the Democrats? Really? And Republicans, you know, be like, ah, there they go again, just crying about racism. It's like, dude, shut up.
Let them show they're racist.
Right? It's like, why don't mainstream Republicans get this? It's like, you'd be like, yeah, girl, we've been trying to tell you. Yeah, there's racism. There's lots of it. You're just barking up the wrong tree. All that racism that you complained about, yeah, that's the Democrat Party. It's always been them. We've been trying to tell you. But you go get them, girl. Call them out. We got you.
I know, right?
Behind you, you know, we're behind you 100%. See, that's how Republicans should respond to this.
Yes.
Girl, go get them. Right? Call them out. They racist. They racist all day. That's why the Republican Party was founded. To help end this white privilege, this white supremacy, this racism. That's why we were founded. We've been trying to tell you. That's them. Go get them, girl. You go. We got you. Right? Republicans gonna do that? No. No, they're just crying about racism again. That's why you lose. That's why this stuff is so hard in the culture.
That's why then we make it so hard.
Right? Anyway, so let's go ahead and dig into what we got. Now, what is this business? What is this business about, you know, who the law is given for and who it ain't? Well, it means these moral concepts shouldn't have to, you know, have needed to be codified in the first place. Is there? Yeah, I mean, because even the law of God being codified didn't come around to Moses. It's like it didn't have to be. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't have had to have been. It's very simple. Okay? If you wouldn't want it done to you, well, you shouldn't do it to others. We have the capacity to understand that, okay? So do we really have to make a charter for that? You know, have a convention and make sanctions? Really shouldn't have to do that. All right, so, you know, we have a distinction from animals, y'all. You know, we can comprehend policy. And we have the capacity to respect boundaries between people without having to exchange signed documents agreeing to not transgress against one another. All right, so animals don't comprehend policy, y'all, written or unwritten. So their actions and reactions are instinctive rather than intellectual. You know, they're intelligent creatures, sure, but their intelligence is governed by their instinct. Whereas humans, it's the other way around. We can govern our instincts intellectually, all right? We can comprehend policy and boundaries, terms of agreement, etc. You know, why? Why? Because we're made in the image of the living law, God, all right? If we're made in the image of the law, well, then naturally that means that we were made to understand the law, you know, and should be reflections of the law. We are supposed to see the law in each other. All right. This is the difference between us and animals. Animals aren't made in the image of God. They do not reflect the law. They do not comprehend policy, terms of agreement, etc. All right. So it's their instinct that gives them a sense of danger or satisfaction, you know, and they mobilize by that. Before we go on, let me say thank you guys for tuning in on the YouTubes, on the Facebooks. I'd say on my website, but for some reason, once again, StreamYard dumped my stream from my website again.
Thank you, StreamYard.
Yeah, thanks, StreamYard. You know, you're still going to charge me, you know?
Yeah, we're still going to pay you.
Yeah. So at any rate, but thank you for tuning in where you can. I hope you hit them like buttons, hit them share buttons. That's the real love button. And
guess who's here tonight?
hey, who's here
Zell.
tonight? What's up, Zell? Yeah, man. Right? Always blessed to see y'all. You know, come on in here. Get on here, fam. Right? So, you know, hit them buttons that hopefully will glitch the algorithm or something like that. And feel free to subscribe. You know, on the YouTube, can't hurt. Even though my notifications don't go out to most people and stuff like that, I got it. Become a member at bronzeserpentmedia.com. and populate the powwow so we can, it helps to stay, more in tune with what I'm up to better than the other platforms will that are keeping me, off the people's radar.
Yeah.
So, and if you support, like the description says, if you find any value in what it is that we're doing, I definitely value your support. So please drop that buck in the bucket, help us to grow our operation. We want to, be effective multimedia here.
Yes.
Get out there and do our part, our salt and light business, right?
Yeah.
And,
Drop a buck in the bucket because of his attempts to pronounce the Hebrew words.
Right? Yeah, I definitely deserve $1 for that. All right, so anyway, so like I said, y'all, it's an animal. They're mobilized by their instinct. They've got a sense of danger, and they have a sense of satisfaction. And these are the things that they got to they make a decision between. But once again, it's not like an intellectual decision. It's more governed by their instincts. There's some calculation involved in what they're going to do, but it's to serve their instincts. All right. So now, all organisms, y'all, all of organisms, us included, we're all covetous, but animals don't have an intellectual, process of respect, for what's in another organism's possession. Even when an animal may, place, submissive or something like that, where it recognizes the alpha.
Yeah.
All that sort of stuff. Putting its muzzle under another dog's muzzle, or lying on the ground. Turning on that's instinct. It's still instinct. All right. So now when we talk about, taking it for their satisfaction, if an animal can take it, they're going to take it. A sense of morality doesn't stop them from doing it. All right. What might give them pause, pause, P-A-U-S, not pause, P-A-W-S, right?
Not both?
How does that joke go? The difference between a sentence and a pet or a cat is a sentence has a clause at the end of its pause.
Yeah.
No, a pause at the end of the clause, and a cat has claws at the end of its pause.
Yeah, I love that.
So, I'm sorry, I'm a bad joke teller.
You're a great joke teller.
No, your jokes are fine. It's your grammar that sucks. You should know better. Anyway, so now, like I said, so it's not the sense of morality. What gives them pause would be a sense of a threat. Like a rival, or a predator. They don't want to get snatched up while they're snatching up something else.
Right.
The danger may give them pause, but not a sense of respect for what belongs to another creature. All right? Don't y'all think it's funny that people who swear by evolution can't explain that?
Yes.
No, they can't. They can't explain it, y'all. They may try to
Even
give
Darwin himself.
Hey, thank you. Right? They may try to give some sort of academic, Darwinistic jargon to make themselves sound plausible with that sort of stuff. It's like, come on, man. It's like my bull chitlins meter is just going all over. Like, no, cuz that ain't gonna work. So whatever any animal does today, y'all, whatever they do today does the same thing that whatever animal it supposedly evolved from, from a supposed billion years ago. It's going to be the same instinct, same behavior. All right? It sees food, it takes food.
Yeah.
All right? Doesn't matter if it was another animal's kill, it sees it, it wants it, and if it can, it will take it. And, that's the way it is. Ain't no difference. All right? An animal has not evolved to say, excuse me, would you mind?
I don't know. Your cat's pretty polite.
Yeah, that's right. Disco Jaja is. She's an anomaly. She's special.
She is an anomaly.
Right? So you know what I'm saying? So animals now, any more than they did a billion years ago, don't comprehend policy, any more than that. No matter how far you can assume to trace back animals, their behavior proves there's no evolution. All right? if you have cats and you put down 2 bowls of food, right? 2 bowls of cat food, chances are one of the cats is gonna wanna take the food from the bowl that the other cat is eating from, even though it's got its own food bowl.
Exactly.
Right? Cats do that today. Your parents' cats likely did it. Your grandparents' cats
Pharaoh's
likely
cats did it.
Right? Exactly. You can change it on as far back as long as there's been the word cat.
Yeah.
All right? As long as people, that's just the way it is. So this is proof that humans didn't evolve from something else. Okay? We didn't evolve from apes or Neanderthals or Cro-Magnons. What was that commercial that they trying to make Trump out to be a racist over because that commercial had the Obamas in it as apes and monkeys and I don't know, a whole bunch of excuses are being made for it. And once again, Republicans responsible for trying to act outraged. And then there's black Republicans coming out there. So I can't stand with Trump on this one. This is just, you're so out of touch with all that sort of stuff. And I'm laughing at both sides with it. And I'm like, so basically, y'all basically want to stand up and take on the distinction. The black, well, and one, it was, Democrats who always made this kind of distinctions.
Yes,
but,
it was.
But no, we're not going to go there. We're just going to get all butthurt. It's like, hey, really you should be calling out the liberals who want to make it so that everybody's uncle was a monkey.
Right.
All right. They're the ones who are guilty of associating everybody with apes. All right. How's your father? Okay. That's it. That's who the human race has evolved from. So these people are so full of themselves in their elitism, who think that they're so much smarter than us, somehow our intelligence evolved from an ape, because if you're really smart, then you accept the fact that that's where we come from. All right. So, but no. Black folks want to come in there and we're outraged by this, and it's like, dude. No, the real insult is to everybody's intelligence with these godless liberals, these Democrats who want to push on us this religion of evolution to make it to where instead of coming from God, we come from
and
monkeys.
Made in his image.
Right? Yeah. They're guilty of accusing of making that charge against the whole human race. That's an insult to my God. That ain't no insult. Y'all, I ain't that insecure where I can't handle something like that. I'm just looking at that. I'm like, you're a flipping idiot. It's like, wow. I mean, getting all sensitive and insecure. Not to be monkeys. Whatever. All right? My God will not be mocked. And he made us in his image. Y'all trying to say otherwise. That's the insult to me. Anyway, so like I said, this is proof, that humans, like I said, didn't evolve from someone else or something else. And now, why would we be different than any other organism? Every organism has the same instinctual drive that organisms have had as far back as animal behavior has been recorded, and has not graduated one step closer to being able to comprehend policy, right? Yet somehow we humans got the privilege of enjoying this evolutionary rendering. So for those who try to argue how animals have shown remarkable intelligence, and we're seeing more and more how intelligent they are, or how their intelligence is evolving, these people are deluding themselves. Listen, the intelligence of animals is not graduating by any evolution, y'all. The only thing that would make that would be advancing is human methods of testing animals or even training them. The animal didn't evolve. All right? You know what I'm saying? For an example, okay, an elephant didn't evolve to a point to where it's able to draw pictures now. If you were to give an elephant or some kind of proto-pachyderm, from 1,000,000 years ago, a paintbrush and a canvas, it would likely be able to do the same thing if you raised it from a baby to captivity, in captivity. All right. But that kind of test wasn't thought of back then. All right. But at some point, man thought that, hey, it'd be a neat idea to see if an elephant can draw. The elephant didn't think of that. Man did. An elephant will never be motivated to conceive of designing a canvas, construct an easel, blend up paint, and be inspired to draw something and then invite its friends over, for a cocktail party showing its work. As social as elephants can be. You ain't gonna do that, y'all. All right? It will never evolve to that. Never. Because evolution is bogus. If evolution graduated creatures like that, y'all, then there'd be no need for humans to exclusively build things and make policies. Yeah. The animals have certainly been here long enough to evolve to that state, right? Heck, in the Bible, animals were created before us in the 6-day account. They've been here longer than us. And if you want to go by, evolution, then animals that have been here, evolved in billions of years, man, that's kind of slow, So you're never going to be able to find a general contract in giraffe. A giraffe is no closer to being a general contractor today than it was 100,000 years ago. So I actually do have a point that I'm trying to get to regarding Paul's letter. The point is, as humans, we as humans are able to consider social dynamics like not doing others, doing to others that we wouldn't want done to us. We are made in the image of the law. We didn't evolve to that, y'all. We were just made that way. All right? So we should see that reflected in each other. We were made to understand law and policy. We're made in the image of it. Okay? Social animals, have a social order, but governed by instinct. Don't cross me because I bite harder than you. All right? Or my horns are longer and my head and neck are stronger. All right. So human dynamics are different. We can conceive, of things like, rock, paper, scissors to settle differences. But anyway, the righteous and those who don't need these moral concepts codified for them. We don't behave like animals. I mean, actually with us it's worse. Animals covet, steal, kill without considering the moral fallout of these things. They're not made to. Morality doesn't really play into the food chain with animals. All right? Animals don't really commit murder. It's look, I got to eat. All right? You're my food. Yeah. It's nothing personal. It's not premeditated or anything like that. I am kind of stalking you, but no ill intent here, if you will. So whereas humans can only disregard the moral fallout, okay? But we can't escape the fact that we were made to be considerate of the morality or immorality of these things. So when we demonstrate behaviors of animals, like coveting what belongs to others, stealing, or killing one another, we're guilty of ignoring our ability to be considerate. All right? If you're not capable of being considerate of these things, well, then that would be a form of psychosis. All right? A person, is mentally and emotionally impaired. All right? Heck, even spiritually, if you get them demons get a hold of you and stuff. All right? So, but the law that shouldn't, and once again, those things are choices. If you choose to not, guard your head, put on that helmet, You know, if you choose to not be that person, well, then demons gonna get in there and they're gonna mind hump you. That's the way it is. You know, and then you'll be, and that's your responsibility. You can't be like, the devil made me do it. It's like, well, no, not exactly. You left yourself open to him. All right, and you're doing evil. So now, but the law, y'all, that shouldn't have had to been written out. Well, it got written out. It had to be written out, y'all. Again, some people understand that, yeah, I wouldn't want it done to, I think that's called empathy or something like that. You know, I wouldn't want it done to me. I won't do it to others. That should be very simple to understand because we were made to. But some people, even though they were created with this understanding, they take the liberty to ignore it. You know, that's a choice. That's not a handicap. That's evil. So the moral, you know, the morality had to be codified. So sanctions would deter the hypocrites who would do unto others what they wouldn't want done to them. The law was given for the rebellious, right? It was given for the kind of people who would say, well, there's no law that says that I can't steal from you. Like it would matter. Right? It's like people who say that, well, abortion's not in the Bible.
Right.
Actually, yeah, it is addressed in the Bible. That doesn't stop these people. And even if it was written in explicit language, thou shalt not commit abortion. You think that's going to stop these people?
Yeah.
know
Not
what
to
I'm
go
saying?
back to that guy, but you pointed out on the Joe Messina show on Monday that Tallarico, he said, well, basically life doesn't begin. The Bible says it begins when Adam took his first breath. You were like, what?
Yeah. We should probably say, should we save that for after the show?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, don't
That
let
just
me
made me
forget.
think about that.
Yeah, it's, well, I mean, it's kind of like it goes along with this right here. This guy talking about, you know, you're not a viable human being until you take your first breath. That's what he's trying to say?
Yeah. He says that's what the Bible shows us.
That's okay. So, what's his name? Tala what?
Tallarico.
I just got to think tolerate. Tolerate. Tallarico. Dude, are women giving birth to full-grown men?
Right.
Ouch. Yeah, ouch for real. You know, and we're going to stop right there. But anyway, no. So they're not. So that's qualification one that's out, dude. You can't make that comparison. And like I was saying on Joe's show, this is one of the reasons why liberals can just go ahead and assume of when they can qualify a baby. That's why you got them killing kids out of the womb now.
Absolutely.
When is a child a viable human being? If you're going to go down this road when this person is saying you're not a human being until you take first breath, Adam was fully grown, which means he could walk around. Well, I guess you're not a viable human being until you can walk.
Right.
You're not a viable human being until you can talk, like form full sentences and all that sort of stuff. You're not a viable human being, you know, until you can marry. You know, so all that sort of stuff. It's like, you know, until you got some hair on your chest or whichever. So if you go down this person's, you know, line of so-called thinking, you know, a person is fair game until when?
Right.
Okay, so this person tried to say that, you know. Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
That's a state representative now, so yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So, now, like I said, man, you know, with these things, we're talking about being considered. We have the ability to consider these things. There shouldn't have to be a law. Like I said, there wasn't a law that was codified until Moses. And now, things that should be easy to understand would be like, you know, like I said, you don't want people stealing from you. Don't steal from other people. Don't murder. The word was talking about don't murder your father and your mother, right? You wouldn't want your kids to murder you. You know? So, you know, don't even think about murdering your father and mother. And really, it shouldn't even have to come to, you know, to entertain even that kind of logic.
Right.
You should just know that that's wrong, man. What do they call it? What's patricide? Matricide. It's like, dang, it sucks that we even have words like that.
I know.
You know, but and don't get me wrong. Yes, I understand. You folks can get on your nerves, right? Just grind on that last good nerve that you got. You know, but matricide and patricide. That should be something that just doesn't come into the picture. And like I said, if you follow the line of reasoning there, parents gonna get on your nerves. Kids get on their parents' nerves. We just get on each other's nerves.
Yep.
Right? And sometimes you got to take a step back. Parents may have to take a step back. You grown now. I got to take a break from you. It's like just you gonna give me a stroke, and vice versa. Kids like, look, love you and everything, but you're driving me nuts. Okay, you're destroying my peace. I got to take a break from you. Right? That's okay. The Bible doesn't say that you can't. All right, we got this thing.
It actually says you should.
Yeah, we got this thing in culture where it's like family is the premium. Nothing matters more than family. Family. That kind of approach, y'all, is why families are crumbling. Because in that pride and in this idea of loyalty, families become stumbling blocks to each other. When you look around and you see all these people just broken and miserable, right? And thinking that nothing matters more than family while families are stumbling blocks to each other. No, nothing matters more than God. You have to build your family on that. Your relationship should be built on that. Not out of any other ideas of love, not out of how generous or how much you think you're gonna be there for something, no matter what, and all that sort of stuff. It can't, because all that stuff is finite, y'all. It's built on sand. All right? It has to be built on the Lord. That is the true foundation, and that is the strength that builds up. And a lot of the country doesn't really get that. They really don't. The premium is family loyalty. They're like, families will be stumbling blocks to each other. I'm not trying to discourage anybody from family unity and anything like that. What I'm trying to say is, when you look around you, and a big part of what's going on with America is the pride of families who no matter what, they assume that they got to stand by blood no matter what they're doing. And what ends up happening is that the person who's a stumbling block, they're going to drag you into hell with them. All right? That insecure, that you will infect each other with insecurity. Okay? And it doesn't work, and we're seeing it's crumbling, it's corroding in America. All right? So, all that to say, y'all, when it comes to family and stuff like that, you don't want to be killing each other. Sometimes families do.
Yeah.
don't go. It's a brother against brother, sister against sister. Sometimes, children, the offspring against their parents. It gets to a point where they can raise a sword against each other. Don't go down that road. It's like that, right? So, and it should be needless to say, but it happens. All right, and our Father God, so when we talk about, you wouldn't want your kids to murder you, and our Father God was murdered in the person of his Son by his rebellious children. All right, like I said, these things happen, and we can always blame, we can't always blame the behavior of kids on their parents. Lots of times, kids just grow up sideways, even with decent parents.
Yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing, but it's true.
A male and female married couple, all right, decent folks, they could just have a screwed up kid, Hey, what excuse did Adam and Eve have to step out of line with God? None. Some of the feminists out there, that's because there wasn't a mother. Right? God had that all worked out. All right? So their actions set God, the Father, up to be murdered in the person of his Son. So what excuse did Lucifer have to step out of line with God? None. Right? What about the rare occasions when there was a successor to the throne of David, and they would do right in the Lord's sight, but they'd have a son
Yep.
who would succeed to the throne and do evil,
Yeah.
despite having righteous parents. But when they do evil, we look at the parents anyway.
Yep.
And it may not have been all their fault. Oftentimes it is. It's not an absolute case though. So don't get me wrong, y'all. Raise your kids up with the Lord's instruction. Do your part. There's no guarantee that your kids will do theirs, but do yours anyway. So it's like how we look, at God for all the evil in the world. God must be to blame for the behavior of his children. God didn't create us to be evil. He gave us the capacity, to have an informed decision on how to live righteously. We weren't made to be ignorant. Okay? God can only, good can only really be good if we choose to do right. It's got to be genuine, bona fide. All right? We have to be able to reflect the law and reflect on the law that we were created in, to know the difference between good and evil and choose. Adam and Eve didn't have to eat from the forbidden tree to come to the knowledge of the difference, y'all. They were already made to know the difference, but chose to believe something else, right? It's like, man, you don't need to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil to know what good and evil is, to have my status. All right, there's a reason why this is classified information. We've done a study on it, right? Won't go into that. There's a reason why you're not supposed to know good the way I know good. There's a reason why you're not supposed to know evil the way that I know evil. Know when to leave well enough alone. All right? Know when to leave it alone. You were already made in my image. I already know the good and evil. Okay? So lean on that for your discernment and you'll do fine. But you got greedy. Right? Greedy ain't godly. So, people want to indulge. People get greedy for satiety. People satisfy their flesh with murder. Greedy for the satisfaction of depriving someone of their life to settle whatever fixation they had, in the moment or premeditated. So God has allowed us to kill, not murder, and there's a huge difference. The commandment isn't to not kill. The commandment is to not murder. We can kill animals for food. We can kill another person in self-defense. We can kill a person who has murdered someone else, or kill a person to stop them in the act of murder. All right? We can kill in a military capacity against an oppressive regime. Murder is pretty much a killing that's only justifiable to that killer, right? Outside of defending themselves, defending their territory, all right? Or the authority that sent others to kill to satisfy their ideas, mobilizing a murder force. So it's not murder to send an opposing force to kill a body of people mobilized to oppress people even to death. That's not murder. All right? Anyway, don't be sexually immoral or a sexual pervert. What would that be? For starters, that would be having sex with anybody who isn't your spouse. Or even before that, I guess, unfortunately, we have to stress things like that. Having sex with what you can't procreate with. All right, if that species ain't gonna recognize your chromosomes or whichever, all right, you're not supposed to the DNA ain't gonna match up. All right, you're not gonna be able to, no offspring. So because of the species difference. So now, if the person you're having sex with, y'all, is not your spouse, it's sexually immoral. All right. If it is a man and a woman who are not close relatives, and they are not married, yet are having mutually consensual sex, it is immoral. However, it is not a perversion of nature. Okay? If they are close relatives, it would be immoral and perverse, even if they were married. All right? It was allowed because of how Adam and Eve screwed up, how the world would be populated. But when the population was abundant enough, God was like, okay, that's enough. We got enough people, in spite of this messed up method. All right, it ain't allowed anymore. This wasn't how it was supposed to be done, but you guys in your transgression, you set it up this way. Not me. All right, and if you keep doing it, I'll have you killed. So think about it, y'all. Adam and Eve set the world up to be initially populated by what God deems an offense punishable by death. All right? Anyway, it's natural for males and females to engage each other in relations. All right? But there's moral parameters. What if one of these parties, like say for instance, is 12, but the other is 30? All right? It's natural. Bear with me. Hold on. Don't get a rope yet. It's natural for them to have sex because they're male and female. But even though it's natural, it would be immoral. Why is it immoral? Because that age gap alone makes them very unequally yoked. All right? So one of them is a developed adult. The other isn't. So even though it would be a relationship between a male and a female, which would be natural, it doesn't violate the laws of nature. It would be the immoral act of molestation because they're not equally yoked. All right? So don't be using nature as an excuse. You know what I'm saying? So, kind of like, how homosexuals try to use the excuse of, animals.
Animals do it, yeah.
Yeah, animals do it. Okay. Get back to that in a second. So, but like I said, don't use nature as an excuse, all right, to be immoral. There's natural law and then there's moral law, all right? So a way to stay out of, the sexually immoral zone would be to have relations with the opposite sex who's not a close relative and who is at the same stage of development. All right? If the parties are developed enough to be responsible for themselves, even if one of the parties is much older, the other is still an adult, more or less, right? Like say, for instance, old enough to be sent to war. Old enough to be sent. At this age, that person is not fully developed yet, but despite that, if they're old enough to be sent to war, heck, they're old enough to marry. Or, say for instance, a woman in her mid-20s and a man in his mid-60s, all right? Totally legal for them to have relations, And it doesn't violate nature. It doesn't violate nature for them to marry. It's not necessarily immoral for them to be married. But here's the thing. They're not equally yoked. And that's a pretty good gap in generations. They're both consenting adults and stuff like that, but they're not going to be exactly equally yoked. They can work around it if they want. They want to put the energy into doing that. But there's going to be certain things that they're just not going to be able to relate. And that's a pretty significant gap. Okay? And then for the so-called Christians that claims that homosexuality isn't a sin. Okay? Paul is telling us flat out that it is. Right? And there's even some so-called Christians who will try to say that the translation is wrong and homosexuality actually isn't in the Bible. Y'all heard that one before?
Yep. I believe our friend has found that in the Bible too, Talarico.
Come on now. Listen. Y'all, let's take a look at the word for homosexual here in the Greek, who are historically known as experts in homosexuality.
Yikes. Hey, I'm Greek.
You are? No, you're Greek. You were a Greek.
On my dad's side.
No, it's Roman. Them too, though.
Greek too.
Yeah, them pagans, they like that stuff. Anyway, so the word for homosexuality here is arsenokoites. And the word actually refers to being defiled with another man. Ugh. Yeah, that's in the Bible, what they try to ignore. That's in there, okay? So there's two words going on here, arseno, and this comes from the word arin, referring to man. And koite, where we get the word coitus, it refers to a couch, right? You're sitting there making out on the couch, and you know what the couch is for. You know what it is, right? A bed, a chambering, and a place where folks can do snoo. That's what it is. All right. So
snoo.
So the word arsenokoites refers to men having man sex. All right. For those who try to say that homosexuality is not in the Bible, yes, it is. And Paul's addressing it right here. And the same applies to women engaging in the unnatural affection towards other women, right? It's unnatural and perverse, all right? So don't give me this crap about how it's natural, because animals do it, all right? Animals also have sex with their close relatives. Animals eat their young. I talk about this stuff in my book from way back. All right, solid rock. I think they'll even talk about this in Weapon of ASS Destruction.
Yeah.
All right. So, but trying to come out with these arguments. Animals eat their mates. They'll eat their parents.
Yeah.
Eat their doo-doo, drink their pee.
Ew.
Right? You gonna do that natural stuff too? Well, some of these fetish
Natural,
people.
yeah.
Right? Hey, come on now. Don't do it.
Unfortunately.
It's a fetish, right? So, but homosexual, what's that one guy who was that guy in Africa?
Oh, yeah, he was giving classes against homosexuals.
Right? And then they eat the poo-poo. Like ice cream.
Ugh.
Woo! He ain't lying though.
Nope.
So anyway, I mean, when you get down to it, if like we're talking about, men, I mean, you got to understand that is a form of fecophilia, right? It is.
Ugh.
I know that's not very politically correct.
Are y'all eating dinner?
It's unclean. It's fully unclean.
Extremely.
Okay, so now, but homosexual, but now we see that it's like, if you're going to say that this is nature and animals do it in nature, all right, well, these are things that animals do. It's still justifiable to you, right? But, homosexuals use animals to justify their behavior and then accuse people of ignoring their human rights. Dude, you're the ones ignoring your own humanity. You're the ones using animals to justify your lifestyle and justify your sexual proclivities. All right? So all that to say, y'all, Christians who try to say that either homosexuality is not a sin or is not in the Bible or that God made homosexuals and loves them just as they are, y'all ain't really Christians. All right? We ain't speaking out of no bigotry here, man. It ain't about that.
Right.
You know, we speak in truth and love. Sorry, really, truth doesn't hurt. Lies do. Lies hurt.
Ultimately, that's true.
I see what you did there. Right? Lies hurt, y'all. Not the truth. Truth is beautiful. Truth is liberating. All right? Maybe, the truth, at the worst, truth may not feel good, but it's healing. Truth is, if anything, is maybe like recovering from a surgery. You know, but ultimately the surgery was meant so you could heal and feel better. Ultimately, truth is going to feel. What's been hurting is the lie. What'll hurt? The lie itself hurts like a abscess in your body or something like that. It hurts like a ruptured appendix.
Yeah.
You know, your appendix is operating in a lie. It ain't doing what it's supposed to do. It is not operating within the truth of what it's supposed to do in your body. It's lying, right? And the truth is, it's going to have to be cut out, I guess. Got to get rid of that abscess. You know, but the truth is going to come in to liberate. And then the recovery and then the healing sets in and you're better. All right, so like I said, truth doesn't hurt. At the worst, you know, like I said, it can hurt at like a post-op.
Yeah.
Which is necessary, and you'll feel better. So, but you have these people who are living this lie, and I'm not trying to tell anybody the truth to hurt them, y'all. There's no malice, you know, there's no bigotry, you know, anything like that.
Amen.
You know, and I ain't gonna sit here and lie to you and tell you and be with these I don't know, new agey Christians or whichever. And Jesus loves you no matter what. No, he doesn't.
That's all I hear on Christian radio is that kind of talking.
That's the selling point, right? People want to feel loved and tolerated and accepted, so they try to, you know, tie these things to Jesus to get people into their pews.
Yep.
You're lying to them. Jesus does not love. You know, okay, he doesn't. It's like Jesus, like, you want my love. You know, it ain't about me accepting you. You need to accept me. That's how this works. I'm the truth. I'm eternal. You will return to dust. You're finite. All right? And why is that? Because the human race believed a lie. You traded me for a lie. I'm the truth. I gave Adam and Eve the truth. I told them the truth. They believed a lie. Now they're outside of the truth that they were supposed to be immortal.
Yeah.
The lie is the corrosive agent in all of us now. Now we all die and return to dust. Great. You know what I'm saying? The lie is what hurts. The lie is what kills, not the truth. All right? So, now, speaking of Paul addressing homosexuality, all right, how does God see homosexuality? Well, let me put it like this. He lumps homosexuality, this is how low he sees it, y'all. This is how low God sees homosexuality. He lumps it in with slave trading. That's how low homosexuality. And you know what God says about slave trading? All right? If you kidnap somebody, this is like forced slavery. You kidnap somebody for your own pleasure or to make a market of them, what's the sanction on that, y'all? Death. You are to be put to death. That is how low God thinks of forced slavery. All right? And he lumps homosexuality in with that. So that's it. Now, slave trading violates God's first commandment. The first commandment lets us know that oppression is against the law. Now, of course, there's going to be, you know, intellectually lazy people who miss that and claim that the Bible is okay with slavery. when it ain't. All right? Just like they'll try to say that the Bible's okay with homosexuality when it ain't. All right? Deceitful people, promoters of fake news, slanderous people. God don't dig these types. Perjurers either, right? People who lie under oath, people who swear falsely, you know? And when a person who calls themselves a Christian while promoting what's ungodly, like affirming homosexuality, abortion, collectivism, open borders, pharmakia, all right? Y'all, that's pledging an oath to God while making a pact with the devil or being in his service. All right? There's a word for that, and that word is warlock. All right? The word warlock means oath breaker. It's particularly used in reference to men who broke faith with God and made a pact with the devil for powers. All right? And breaking faith with God, warlock is going to be like coming from like, mostly used, I think, by Scots. It's Old English. All right? So people, you know, who were seen as holy, you know, and believed in God and stuff like that, but really, you know, it's not God that they ultimately trust in. It's the devil that they want to be empowered by. Okay? So, breaking faith, you know, breaking faith with God means that a person will be okay with defiling things and justifying themselves, you know, have the audacity to call themselves Christians, you know. Do we not have transgender people calling themselves Christians? Yep. Of course, they're not really Christians. But the men doing this also claim to be women and vice versa, right? So their own claim ain't true, just like their claim to be Christians. And these are warlocks, y'all, these men who take to the pulpit. Do they not have their congregation under a spell? If a person gets up on that pulpit and talking about transgenderism and is saying that's okay and using the incantations of she, him, zim, zer, and all this language, y'all, those are incantations, you understand? And those people are glued to their seats, spellbound. All right? They don't have the Holy Spirit. If they did, they would have got up and they would have left. They would reject this warlock. All right? So, their claim isn't true, y'all. Just like their claim to be true. It's like you're talking about how you're really a woman. It's like you're not a woman any more than you're a Christian. Okay? So they're deceiving themselves and leading others into their delusion. So Paul is warning Timothy. All right? All this to say, because Paul was dealing with, y'all, he was going through this back in his day, y'all. This ain't nothing new. Paul is warning Timothy. Don't let yourself get caught up in people's delusions. That's what this is about. Timothy, be on your guard, man. All right? This is what people are going to be trying to influence you. They had influencers back then too, y'all. Influencers back then. Nothing new under the sun. What Paul was going through and what he was warning about, same thing we talking about today. Right? And as I've said before, y'all, here's it. When we talk about the end times and why do we say so? From my perspective, why do I think that this is the end times? Y'all, because there's just no excuse to be doing this stuff anymore. We should know better. This has been going on for thousands of years, y'all. And the things that we have at our disposal, we're supposed to be this age of information. We can look at history, y'all. We can look so far back in history, and we have all these tools at our disposal and all the examinations that we can make. Y'all, come on. There's no excuse for us to be acting so ignorant. Right? And I reckon that's where God is. It's like, yeah, because God is a just God. He's a just God. It's like, look, if you, whatever it is that I have y'all do, I make sure that you have a very well-informed decision. All right? I make this stuff relatively simple. Relatively simple. When I say relatively simple, like say, for instance, with all that we have at our disposal, it's the same things that we have at our disposal for information. Well, it's relatively the same as what Adam had. Adam, right from the source. I'm telling you, I'm gonna make it this simple. You want to remain immortal? Don't eat from that tree. It don't get no more simple than that, baby. And I know you understand me. You understand the policy, right? And for us today, I guess because we're so evolved, we're so advanced.
Sophisticated.
And thank you, right? So sophisticated. We should be able to just understand things just like that. We're just as smart as Adam was. And so we can understand all the information that we have, that we're interested in, as easy as Adam should be able to understand, dude, don't eat from that tree. All right? So if we're that smart, I reckon it's getting close to God being, getting ready to call us out on that. If you're that smart, all right, you've had thousands of years to figure it out. I've given you enough time. You've had thousands of years to figure this out, generation after generation, to build on it. I mean, yeah, you guys have made great technological leaps, but spiritually, y'all suck. Right? Look at the things that your moral compass is in desperate need of calibration. Right? I don't think we've evolved much in that department. In a way, it's like we're just as barbaric as, I guess civilization has always been, even before there was barbarism, all of barbarism somehow became, the barbarians became a superlative of being, these heathens or whichever. That's been going on even long before there were, barbarians or whichever. But the thing is we found more sophisticated ways to be barbaric.
Yep.
All right. We somehow we're able to, get away with doing things under the guise of, how elegant, technologically elegant, we may do things, or whom we target to carry out whatever indulgences, that we may have, and things like that. I guess the way that we do it, it's not as so vandalistic,
Yeah.
and it's not as messy. How is it? But people still have these, hedonistic indulgences, things that they want to get away with. But some things can be done right in plain sight, but they're done in a way where it's like I said, it's more elegant or more entertaining, or more. It feels more inclusive. Where you can just go ahead and have like some hedonistic orgies and all this sort of stuff, but it would be advertised as something like Burning Man.
Right.
Burning Man, it's a big music festival and all that sort of stuff, while people are there giving each other, gonorrhea.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So all that to say, y'all, in these later times, y'all, we should know better.
Yes.
If evolution is a real thing, y'all, we should be more evolved with our morality and how we conduct ourselves. But like I said, what evolved is just our campaigns on how we do it.
Yeah.
Just being morally bankrupt, y'all. But hey, we've made it less, at least I guess we made it more fashionable. It's more acceptable or whatever. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, y'all, that's what I got for this. Let me shut up. That's what I got for this. What's going on out there?
Well, let's talk about the Hegseth, and was it appropriate for him to read the Bible verses? But first, Hardboiled Entertainment said, "Hey, Zo.
Yo.
If you're game for a song cover request in light of Persian Americans excited en masse about current events, and as Freddie was of Persian descent, I want to break free."
Okay, all right. There's some Queen. Throw some Queen in there, huh? Okay. Definitely I'll write that down. I'll check that out. Thank you for the suggestion. The reason why I've kind of halted on doing the covers, and thank you.
Yeah, because people have requested covers.
Yeah, y'all, thank you so much for that. That's a morale booster to hear that folks, still have an interest in me doing the covers and just doing music. I haven't done them because I've made it I don't want to say a vow, but I've made it a commitment.
Commitment.
To when I get back to doing music, I want conditions to be more up to speed. It sucks going back to like listening to mixes and stuff like that and be like, because a lot of y'all, when I do recordings and stuff like that, they're really not in the proper conditions. All right, so as you can hear right now, it's like through my microphone, you can hear the sonic reflectivity in here. Not supposed to record an environment like that. So God willing, if I get a windfall or, because I've been trying to grow my audience. You guys know the sob story. But, get my budget. Hey, so far, I mean, we're moving. I got the sets built.
Yeah.
Moving along. We're getting the monologues done for the ZOloft and the ZOpium Den. But to do music, and even like when I do those, I've treated the sound to where I am when I do those, enough, and I can get into post, and I can do some things. I got some, some plugins for like Room Killer, to kind of mitigate the reflectivity and stuff like that, to make the vocals sound a little bit more drier and intimate and things like that. I can get away with it to a degree with that. You're still gonna hear some of the reflectivity. You'll hear some of the gating. But it's not that distracting. I think I can get away with it. But when I'm doing the music, and I have these things working together, it's kind of hard to fight. It's more difficult to fight through that to really get a quality, mix of the instruments. So I need to get my control room built, and I want to be able to have a room that I can tune, get it acoustically set. For me to really do some music. Because before I do my next Sledge X album, I want that done, and before I do covers and stuff. So all that to say, I don't know when that's going to be. Like I said, God willing, my audience will grow up, and have I'm working on other projects, to try to generate more income because I'm not able to, do it online. So and then there's that windfall. That would be fantastic. And get those things, and I'll get into it. So all that to say, yeah, dang, by the time the whole, Iran war is, I don't know, it might be just old news. But then again, maybe not, because this has been going on for thousands of years, y'all. So
Yeah.
I mean, heck, if Barbara Ann can make a comeback, and reformed as Bomb Iran, just some things I guess they just don't go out of style.
Right? Yeah. What's that? Oh, the Shah, that song from the 80s. You covered it.
Shari don't like it.
Yeah.
Rock the Casbah. Yeah. I did a cover of that with, when I had my band. I don't know. I might want to do a cover of it again. Because when we did that, we did like a full-on, just kind of like, hey, just plug into the 4-track, kind of thing. And we recorded like that. So it wasn't a stellar mix or anything like that. But yeah, Rock the Casbah would be fun to do again, and just do an updated mix. But like I said, I want to do mixes where it's just like I don't have like go back and listen to it.
Yeah, have a lot of hang-ups about the way it sounds.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think some of the mixes that I've been doing, I think the remix and remaster of Divine Battery and the Electric Exodus album, I think they really came out, much better.
Oh yeah, you got compliments on that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I went and remixed and remastered those. Was able to get some better emulators. I kept the guitar tracks that I did. They were organic. They weren't direct input. Well, actually, I think some of them were. I think no. Some of those guitar tracks were direct input, but I was able to come up on some pretty decent emulators, and so it really took the guitars up a level.
Yeah.
Definitely with that, and so yeah. But that's what I'm waiting for. But anyway. What else we got?
Do you want to discuss the Pete Hegseth, the quotes
Okay.
that he gave? Blessed be the Lord, my rock, who trains my hands for war and my fingers for battle. Mm-hmm. And he went on to say a couple more, but those were the words that are getting people in a tizzy because they're saying, okay, you're saying this in a press briefing. Sorry, guys. And it appears to be that we're in this religious war overthrowing this Islamic state, and then we're Christians, and now it feels like a religious war. How is it not? And is it appropriate for him to be saying these things?
What, now it feels like a religious war? Okay. No, they really should throw a hissy fit when a person doesn't invoke scripture.
Yeah, that would be nice if people thought that way.
You see, this is what y'all need to understand, you freaking heathens. Do you want representatives that engage in things based on their own self-righteousness? Is that a person who has no moral foundation?
Right.
Okay, now, religion, y'all, is not something that I'm a big fan of. I'm not a fan of religion. I follow Jesus. I don't follow a religion. Now, what fault can you find with Jesus? And you really got to reach. And you ain't going to find it. I know some people out there may try to make, but you ain't going to make that stick. All right? Yeshua is flawless. He is our rock. All right? And he is the living law. And if you're going to engage in something, you better have him as your foundation. Because any other foundation that we try to operate off of, y'all, is built on sand, y'all. It ain't level. It will collapse. You don't want to mobilize from there.
Yeah.
You better be glad that Hexeth has a foundation that he operates from and isn't just operating from his own self-righteousness. Now, I get it that y'all may think that he is, because you just don't relate. You don't understand. I get it. You think that, we're just invoking God as okay. That's people gonna do that.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna get away from that. But the bottom line is, if the Lord, if Hexeth is taking the Bible as his base, and that's where he's operating from, well, then he's taking the right steps.
Absolutely. So
now these people who are actual religious zealots, see, y'all, they don't understand. You follow that. You think that just Christianity is a religion. It's not being religious. It's not a religious thing to be a Christian. It's a discipline thing. All right? We're disciplined. We're not religious. We weren't called to be religious. We were called to be disciples. There's a huge difference.
Yeah.
We don't have a system of rituals, right? You're confusing us, with things maybe like Catholicism or Mormonism or anything like that. We're not religious. We're disciplined. There's not things that we have to do that satisfies like some sort of catechism or anything like that. We don't do that. We follow the living law. He is our general in all things. He's the captain of our soul. All right? And as I said before, y'all, we don't operate in the fear of breaking the law. We operate out of reservation for betraying the law. The law is a living entity. He is our king. He's our priest. And when you understand that, then you're operating in love. All right? Love. It's not a legalistic thing. It's love that gives you, there still has you recognizing that, hey, we're made in the image of God. Not everybody's God's children. If you choose that you want to be out of step with God, then you're no longer his children. But we still know that you're a human being. We know that doesn't stop. And these things give us reservation. They give us consideration about what we're dealing with. There's no malice. You guys think differently than we do, and we just want to go and kill you. That's them.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, that's them. And when I was listening to the guy, give his response, and his response was, making a justification, for Hexeth, and I appreciate that. But when he's saying that the reason why they hate us is because we have freedom here. We're free to do what we want, and they don't like that. I take exception to that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's childish, man.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I'm saying? That's some juvenile thing. That's the pride of being, an American. That's like, I'm an American. We're free to do what we want and all that sort of stuff. Y'all, that's a cheapening. It's an insult to what America is. America is more than a country than where we're Americans and we can say and do whatever we want. No, that's not what freedom is. You know what freedom is, y'all? Well, freedom, one, is being free to acknowledge God.
Amen.
And to tell the gospel, because that's where the real liberty is.
Yep.
And under that, freedom is not doing whatever you want. Freedom is being free from other people feeling entitled to be free to do whatever they want to do to you. That's what freedom is. See, these people over there, under these theocracies that they have, these religious regimes, they're at the mercy of what their regimes want to do to them. Whatever they feel is conducive with their religion. And their religion is basically whatever they deem, examining their scriptures and following Al-Quran. This is what you have to do to square up with this religion. And they can get as extreme with it as they want.
Yep.
Right? That's their holy effort. So that's their commitment. And they can do all these things. Like they can go and they can rape other men.
Yeah.
Why? See, now men, here's the thing. Men having sex with men is supposed to be a sin, even according to Al-Quran. But if you aren't a devout follower enough, if you are flawed in your religion of Islam, well, they can punish you with rape. You ain't as Muslim as you should be.
And by the way, you can rape your wife all the time because
Yeah.
she's property. She's not even human.
Come on now, right? So really, but us Christians, if you actually examine the scriptures with the counsel of the Holy Spirit, and you don't even have to see that hard. That woman is highly valued.
Yes.
Highly valued. And we both complement each other. The word wants us to be equally yoked. It wants us to be equally. It's just, equity is like the big word and all that sort of stuff.
Uh-huh.
We complement each other. Right? But the devil, y'all, Satan, his name means the accuser. So in full satanic fashion, these people are going to accuse the Bible of things that just aren't true. And accuse the followers. So at any rate, these people are the culprits of a religious war. They're the ones who oppress, out of their religion. They're the ones who ignore people's rights and violate their rights and things like that. As Christians, we don't go look to make war with these people. It's defensive. Now, one would say, well, how come we're not having wars over here? And I say, what do you want us to do? You want us to wage war against everybody? Right. Yeah, there's certain wars that'll be more conducive with American interests, sure. And also there's just maybe some places where it's like, what you're doing, that can't stand anymore. And it's within our framework to go ahead and do something about it. You would think that these, liberals would be happy. Instead of thanking those who are operating by the inspiration of the scriptures, who want to serve the Lord and mobilize the military to promote freedom You would think that these so-called feminists would be happy. You would think that they would be thanking people who want to mobilize in the service of the Lord to go free these women. Nah. It's like, wow, do you hate Jesus more than you love women? You know, kind of like, you know, piggybacking off of what Golda Meir said. Hey, it'd be fantastic, you know, if the Muslims love their kids as much as they hate us.
Yeah, then the war would stop.
Right? And it's the same thing. It's like obviously these liberals, these Democrats, they hate Jesus more than they love women. So they ain't happy that these women are freed. Those other women over there, they seem to be pretty happy.
This is true. We've got Stephen Andrew Card listening on the Facebook.
Stephen, right on, man.
When you were discussing homosexuality and whatnot, he said he had to put his ice cream up.
Ain't nothing's gonna stop me from eating ice cream. Do your worst. I'm gonna eat me some ice cream.
Right. Oh no. Do you want to update people on the Patreon debacle before we head out?
Sure. Yes. Yeah. And when I say ice cream, I'm talking about like I like almond milk ice cream. Almond milk. I know.
Disqualified.
I like almond. I like all the.
It is good though. It is.
Almond milk. They got almond milk. They got cashew milk ice cream. You know, there's pecan milk, coconut milk. You know, it's like, why don't you just eat ice cream? Ice cream. It's too rich for me. I don't know. It's like, it's too rich. I'm weird when it comes to dairy products.
Yeah.
I don't like milk. I don't like, but I love cheese.
That's why we're such a good fit, because I don't like milk either, but I love cheese.
Yeah, milk is just not my favorite. There's like certain. I think cheese is pretty much like the only dairy that I like. Like, you know.
Yeah.
You know. And but like.
Well, butter.
Yeah, and butter.
Yeah.
But I cook with butter.
Right.
Yeah, if I cook with butter. Well, I mean, butter on bread, you know. Yeah. Okay. No, yeah. Okay. So butter.
Yeah.
Right. But I ain't like one of those people that could just sit there and eat a stick of butter. I'm not that butter. You kind of well.
If it's Kerrygold salted, I could just eat a pat of butter. Yeah.
Yeah, that might be a little rich.
But
for
I
me.
know how healthy it is for me, so that helps me.
Yeah, but butter's Unlike what we've been told, butter, you know, grass-fed butter is actually very healthy for us.
Very.
Yeah, and but things like, you know, like what is that? Cottage cheese, yogurt, you know, kefir.
Ugh.
I can't do that stuff.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I can't. No, but I like cheese. Cheese, yeah.
Jay Thompson says horchata is almond milk with some rice flour and spices. Horchata rocks.
Yeah.
Jay, it is absolutely delicious.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
been there.
Yeah, we used to guzzle that stuff. But that,
yeah.
You know, that stuff.
When we were less concerned about our midsections.
Right. But, rice milk. Throw the cinnamon in it. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Good stuff. Mm-hmm.
Our compromise is during the holidays, the almond milk eggnog.
Yeah. That stuff rocks.
Yeah.
And I think Almond Breeze came out with a. I noticed that simple is becoming like the trend with products. You're starting to see that they're making their ingredients more simple.
Yes.
Isn't that fabulous? Right. I think Almond Breeze or something like that. They're making it's just almonds, water, salt. That's their almond, and it's fabulous. It's like, that's what y'all. I think one of the reasons why they're stripping down the ingredients so much is so, you know, because food is getting so expensive.
Yeah.
Like, okay, can we make this with less stuff instead of putting all this whichever in it to make it? Well, I mean, and it just so happens that if you use less ingredients, it'll be healthier, and chances are it's going to taste better too.
Yeah. Plus, RFK is threatening that, you know, that stuff's going to be outlawed within the next couple years, so you might as well get started now.
Nice. Yeah, and hopefully, like I said, in the long run, it'll save you some money. You
Yeah.
can't really see it now because the economy sucks.
Right.
But Sorry, I know some people out there are going to defend Trump no matter what. It's the best economy, whatever. I think it sucks. Maybe not. Yeah, I'm glad that you guys can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm trying
right?
I'm trying to hang in there with you. But yeah, it sucks. So
Sledge-o-matic says, I love horchata, but it don't love me.
Uh-oh.
So
Oh,
true.
no.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Horchata. All right. Yeah.
I know, it's harder to get the horchata off the waistband when you're the older you get.
Yeah.
It is true.
Right.
All right, do you want to update people on the Patreon debacle and how they can support you?
Yeah, thank you. And so if you guys have, hopefully you're moving over to Cornerstone. If you go to my donation page, it has options.
At the website, Brown
Yeah.
Serpent Media.
That's right. And it's there's basically two. There's Cornerstone and there's Stripe. Or if you want to mail, if you want to do it the old-fashioned way.
We have a P.O. box.
We're okay with that too. If you want to send a check or a money order, that's fine. Happy to take those too. But please consider coming on over to Cornerstone. Cornerstone is a Christian-owned and operated payment system, so we want to support them as well by getting your business through them. So hopefully, like I said, with Patreon, Apple screwed them, which screws us, and Patreon really wasn't that much help in explaining how we're supposed to make the transfer.
Typical liberal ran corporation.
Yeah, so or at least they weren't helpful to me. And all in all, it gutted our income, our take from Patreon. What Apple did, with Patreon changing the format, it gutted our income. So y'all,
70%.
Yeah. So whatever you had, you were contributing at Patreon, whatever it averaged out, please move that over to Cornerstone. And, like I said, hopefully people be more, motivated to do that, instead of like going through Patreon, a bunch of heathens.
Yeah.
Cornerstone is Christian owned and operated. And we've been
Yes.
with them for years.
Yeah.
So hopefully folks will be like, hey, I can kill two birds with one stone. I don't like to use that analogy, but you can be supporting one, Christian owned and operated company, support another Christian owned and operated
Amen.
company.
Yes.
So that would be fabulous. So, hopefully we'll see, some, migrants coming over to Cornerstone tonight. A bunch of you, right?
That would be awesome because you are working diligently on the monologues for your projects.
Hey, y'all supported me getting the camera equipment, the lighting and stuff like that. Yeah, we're putting it to work. But like I said, it's a slow process because it does take, we still got to, pay bills and things like that. I mean,
Plus, you need a staff, and you're one person trying to do it also.
Right? Yeah, it's a lot of moving parts to do it.
Yeah.
From building the sets to the captures to the audio, the video, the lighting, and all that sort of stuff. It's a lot of moving parts, and I'm doing it, by myself. And like I said, also at the same time, we got bills, and when this is, we're trying to do this, trying to keep this going, but, I have to have time to like try to do other things to, get the bills paid,
Yep.
Things like that. And I want to be able to concentrate on pouring into, making that media, to be that salt and light and promote, what's right by the Lord, culture, and look for, really creative vehicles to be able to do it. So your support is, much appreciated. Hope you guys will keep on supporting. I ain't gonna ask anybody who's already supporting to dig deeper because I know times is tight.
Yeah.
But prayers and shares, that others will find this, valuable, and will show it with their donation. All right.
Absolutely. We want to compete, get, as you say, good entertainment out there with the Word of God in it. Good stuff out there to compete with all the liberal, godless, heathen stuff.
Spell breakers, y'all. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, folks. Thank you guys so much. Father in heaven, thank you for this study. We hope it was a blessing to you, Lord. And, we want to do our part. We want to do our part
Yes.
and, let folks know and point them to you and, not let them be spellbound by the other stuff that's out there or, not just let them stay. Hey, we ain't trying to push anything on anybody. You know, we want to be like the ice cream truck. We just gonna roll down the street. You know what I'm saying? We ain't trying to, you know, drive up and kick down anybody's door and say, you want some ice cream? It's like, no, we, for you, Lord, we just want to, you know, like I said, drive that truck down the street, you know, and we ain't even going to drive fast where they can't catch us. You will drive nice and slow and have them come on, run on out there and, you know, and come and get that, you know, get that word, that good word, Lord. That's what we're trying to do. And for y'all, our study buddies, ZOpium denizens, thank you so much that you make, you know, the ZOpium Den one of your places that you like to hang out online and, you know, party with the word of God. It's like you want the truth. The Lord says, you find me, you ain't gonna thirst no more. You ain't gonna be hungry anymore. And you found your spot. You know, you found it in the Lord, and y'all like to share in that here for what the Lord has, you know, brought to the table for us. So thank you guys so much for that. All right, y'all. Blessings. Y'all have a groovy rest of your evening and week. And we'll do it again, God willing, next week. Bye.